Marcy MacPherson is with Dementiability. And Marcy's also the founder of Stay Alive Inside. She's got a psychology degree from Edinburgh University and class valedictorian while receiving her Master's of Social degree from University of Waterloo. Marcy spent the last 10 years studying dementia and how to help educate, coach, provide opportunities to everyone that has experienced dementia in their lives and the lives of others. There is Someone ID project is also something going on, I think, that you can talk about possibly up here. But Marcy, we welcome you to Bradenton, Kiwanis. Come on up and educate us today. Take it away.
Thank you so much. All right. Can everybody hear me? Yep. All right. Well, thank you, first of all, for allowing me to be here to talk about this sensitive topic. I met with a group of people a while ago and said, we're going to shut the door because we're going to talk about one of two things, and you get to choose which it is. And one is death, and the other one is dementia, because nobody really likes to talk about either one. But they are happening in our society, and it's really important for us to know about it and also to know that there are resources available to us out there. So Dementiability is all about transforming dementia care through innovation through our products and also through our services and support. There we go. So the agenda items, let me back up. The agenda items are going to be introduction to dementiability, training and education programs, there is someone identification system, impact on dementia care, and future directions and innovations. So I want to talk about the logo first of all, because this was actually very well thought out, and the fact that we have dementia actually is faded out because while it's important to the topic, we want to really focus on ability. And the starlight is part of the heart of ability. We know that people living with dementia still have the ability. It's just being able to find it. It's being able to pull that out, to be able to give them sense of purpose and value, because everybody in life lives life for a sense of purpose and value. The other part of it is the purple butterfly. I have many, many years embracing hospice and being a social worker for hospice. And the butterfly is transformative, and we know that. So purple in the color scheme is for the PET scan, because we know when there's purple, it means that there's not much activity in that part of the brain. But what we're striving for in the right direction, which is that ray of light going that way, is that we can get at least a little bit of ability coming out, thus the red butterfly, which means that there's activity. So our background and our mission. We need effective care. We need it. Unfortunately, living here in the United States and also up in Canada, I've witnessed we're not doing a very good job, and we need to do a better job. There are solutions that can positively impact ourselves and also the people living with dementia. We just need to seek them out. The mission of support is to be able to provide education, support, and products. So I have products that I will be talking about that I have created myself, that I am trying to roll out to be able to help people living with dementia to do better and to live better and feel as though they still have that purpose and value in life. The educational resources are for paid care staff and also for anybody that's curious. I have been training healthcare professionals for over a decade in how to support somebody and positively approach somebody and care for somebody living with dementia. We don't do a very good job at approach because we don't see the deficit. But if we can start to see that something is happening within our interaction that causes us then to say, wait a minute, there's something going on here, we can then start to then change what we're doing and how we're approaching people. And that's my goal with the There Is Someone identification program. Innovative tools. I just knocked those down. There is someone identification system. Definitely, this is something that we can use to be able to help identify somebody living with cognitive challenges, and also to be able to support them to be able to get back to their loved ones as fast as possible. The immersive dementia experience. That's like the virtual dementia tour. Have you ever heard of the virtual dementia tour? Well, what it is I'm going to set this down, hopefully it won't fall again. What it is it actually walks you through the experience of somebody living with dementia. So it actually has glasses that I put clear glue on it. You also then have gloves with popcorn in it. You have something underneath your feet, in your shoes, to be able to show that there are people with different sensory deprivations. So what happens is then you go into this experience, and it gives you kind of a very concentrated, short look on what people living with dementia go through. And I'll explain it a little bit later further on. Emergency caregiver and the recipient workbook. So what I have done is I've actually created a workbook. And this workbook in the very beginning has 10 pages that can be ripped out. So if something happens to the caregiver and the care recipient needs to go somewhere to like assisted living or to respite care, you can tear that information out and send it with the person to be able to give that history of the person that is coming into someone's care or into community care. Because what we know, and I had it happen to me as a memory care director, I walked out one day and there was somebody sitting at a table in the dining room, and I said, "Hi, who are you?" And they said, "I don't know, and I don't know what I'm doing here." That is a horrible way to be able to introduce somebody to where they're going to live for the next little bit. So what I've done is I've created this caregiver care recipient book. So even in case of emergency, what we can do is we can tear out those pages, or we can give our family members the ability to know the information going forward. And then the Reignite curriculum. That actually is bringing back our skills from long ago. And I'll go into it a little bit deeper. So me, who am I? I am the person that has experienced many, many different things, but let me tell you about what really started my whole journey down dementia care. I was working in a hospital in Canada, and I saw a gentleman that was in a room that had half doors. And I wondered about the half doors to begin with. And I said, what would a half door be in a hospital for? Well, I happened to walk past his room, and I looked in his room, and there was a mattress on the floor, and only a mattress on his floor. There was nothing else in the room besides the mattress on the floor. I ended up walking further down the hallway and was talking to the nurses, and they said, "Well, just hang on a second, he's violent." And I said, "Okay." And they said, "So we're going to go in and you're going to witness something that I want you to see." And I said, "I'm not sure I'm ready for this." And they said, "Well, let's just go in and show you." So what ended up happening was a security guard called another security guard. They both went into the room, and they put the gentleman up against the wall. And they held him there. And then the nurses came in after they yelled clear, and the nurses came in, pulled his pants down, pulled down his adult diaper, wiped him down, and then put another diaper on him and pulled his pants back up. They then yelled clear again and ran out of the room. The security officers then let go of him and then went out, and one security officer sat down outside of his room with the half doors, and the other security officer left. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. This was a person, but this is how we're treating them because he was labeled a behavior problem. I went to the nurse and I said to the nurse, "This has got to change." And she said, "Marcy, we don't know any better." I said, "We have to know better. We have to." So that started me down the journey of dementia care. I, as a social worker, said, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do something different. This is my mission now. And so I took it up. I am experienced in hospice care in the United States and in Canada. It is different up in Canada, for sure. We all know that. But also coming down here, being able to say I have specialization in dementia care for hospice is really important to me, and also bereavement, and also for COVID bereavement. I am Teepa Snow certified. If you don't know who she is, please look her up. She is absolutely phenomenal. You'll learn a little bit later in one of the apps that I'm doing. Actually, her videos are going to be inside of it. So the innovative products and services, again, we'll talk about those here in a minute. But I really want to use the technology that we have out there, that we already have there, to be able to then bring in dementia into the picture also. So my core values and objectives: compassion. If you don't have compassion, you shouldn't be in healthcare. I said it, I'll say it again. Innovation, making sure that we're bringing those technologies forward. Collaboration. I am all about linking arms with other people and saying, if I can't do it, I'm going to try to find somebody that can. Objectives are awareness, education, and empowerment. Because I don't know how many people living with dementia have said to me, I can't anymore. I just can't. And I said, we're going to find something. I have a gentleman that I go see regularly, and what I do is math problems with him. Because he says, I've lost everything else. I can't drive, I can't cook, I can't make my own decisions. I can't. I said, what's 2 times 2? He said, well, it's 4, of course. I said, well, you can. So the training and education programs that I currently have, the immersive dementia experience, like I spoke about before, this is something where anybody can be part of this. You put the glasses on, you put the popcorn in your gloves, you put the gloves on, you put those underneath your feet, and then what happens is I don't give anybody any kind of clue what's going to happen in the room that they're walking into, but let me tell you, I've had people walk out of there bawling because they said, I have told my father over and over again, why? Why can't you do that? You used to be able to do it. Why can't you do it anymore? And when you said that to me inside there, that hurt. And I'm going to change the way I talk to my dad from now on. So it is about understanding cognitive needs and hopefully providing empathy. Empathy and understanding is really important when it comes to dementia care. As you can see, the top photo is 2014. That was me with Teepa Snow. And I went and I got certified with her again in 2024. She is an amazing person, absolutely amazing, because she talks about the people living with dementia and how we need to put kind back in humankind. So I have comprehensive training that I do. I do 8-hour trainings. I can even split that up into 2 4-hour trainings without a problem. The issue that I find is that a lot of the communities that I go to say we don't have the money for it. So that's why I started the Dementiability, because darn it, I'm going to find the money for it. And I'm going to be the person that is going to bring about whole person care. I hear patient-centered care all the time, or person-centered care all the time. You know what? It's not just about the person. It's about the history. It's about the whole situation. So when someone says, oh, it's patient-centered care, I said, okay, so now you've already gone ahead and put yourself into a position of being higher than that person, because they're your patient. They're not a person. They're your patient. I try very hard not to say my clients. I try to say the people I serve, because it's very important that they know that I'm there for them. The valuable insights are uncovering the person separate from the dementia. We all have history. We all have perspective. We all have places that we've come from. I grew up on a 250-acre dairy farm, and my brother is 13 months older than me. We were peas in a pod. We were where he was, I was. But his idea of what happened on that farm is completely different than my idea. So to be able to say, oh, well, they're brother and sister and we can just treat them the same, doesn't work. When you've met one person living with dementia, you've met one person living with dementia. So making sure that in these educations that I'm providing the tools and the skills to be able to help people go back out into the community and learn how to approach somebody. When we walk up to somebody that's struggling or who has wandered, and we say to them, hi, my name is John, and they're so focused on their task, they can't even remember who they are. They look at you and they're blank staring. For us to then start to continue questioning them, what are you doing here? What's going on? Where are you going? What's happening? We're just confusing them more. So being able to approach them is really, really important, and teaching those skills and the ability for positive care is really important. The Reignite program, I kind of touched upon that. And this is really all about the curriculum that I use to be able to help people to be able to move forward in life, to know that they still have the abilities. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I have a gentleman right now that his wife says, oh, he can't chew gum and walk at the same time. I said, well, I'm going to get him to go out and walk and say the alphabet at the same time. Because what we need to do is reignite those parts of the brain that have been sitting dormant for so long. Sure, doing crossword puzzles are important, but did you know that your brain actually tires of that? And your brain goes, okay, great, what's next? So doing crosswords is important, but doing them, maybe writing with your left hand or your non-dominant hand, is where we can actually start to get that brain to reignite. I use a Montessori approach. So I can tell you with the gentlemen and the ladies that I go out to see, what I usually do is I'll start out with a deck of cards, and I'll find out where they are in their trajectory. And I will sit down and I will base that education on where they are in that. And sometimes what I do is I hand them 2 red cards, and I'll say, what's the same on the cards? Well, they're both red. What's different? And then I have to define different. And then they still don't have it, I know I'm working at a very low level. But you know what? I can still find things to ask. Caregiver education and support. Dementiability was started to be able to provide the funding. Like I said, a lot of places out there tell me we have no funding. I say, well, tell me what your marketing budget is. And they say, well, we don't want to talk about marketing. And I go, because I know you have tens of thousands of dollars for your marketing budget, but you have hundreds for your education. And Dementiability really wants to advocate to change that, because one day, unfortunately, we're probably going to see people in here accessing assisted living. And I don't think you want to have happen to you what I have witnessed in assisted living and in hospital. We need to change it now. We need to move forward with the education, and we need to make sure we're getting people the education that they need. So I provide workshops and training, I support the community, and I'm also very innovative with what I'm doing, and we'll talk about that here. The caregiver support group, the caregiver emergency booklet. Again, what this has in here is all about the care recipient to begin with. Then we go to the caregiver, and then we go to information like, where is your water shut off in your house? Because I, as a daughter, going to my mom's house, and neither one of them are there, and something happens inside, how do I know how to shut the water off, right? When was the last time the oil was changed in one of the cars? All that information is actually in here, and also a hurricane checklist in the very back. So this is actually for people that are in couples, or let's say father-daughter, mother-daughter, mother-son, any of those, and it can also be for a single person also. That's coming here real soon. The There Is Someone identification system. If you see on your table, there's this rack card. If you want to pick it up and maybe somebody take a look at it. What this is this came from a caregiver, and she said to me, Marcy, I can't go to the store. I can't leave my loved one at home, because what happens if I get into an accident while I'm out and about and they don't know he's at home? And I said, I will find something. I will look. I will look and I will find something. If not, I will create it. So I created it because there wasn't anything. There was nothing, if you flip it over on the back, there was nothing that connected the two people together. And I've created an online registry that connects the two people together. So what happens is, let's say she is out and about at the store, he is home with cognitive challenges, something happens to her, she's wearing this bracelet. This bracelet actually says thereissomeone.com, and there's a number on it. First responders, or if somebody was to reach out to the phone number, they can find out the information and say, hey, you know what, we've got her, we need to send support for him. Or if he's out wandering and he doesn't have his ID on him, we're lucky he's dressed. And he's out wandering, but he forgets that he's got this purple bracelet on. That actually can help our first responders, first of all, to identify that there's something happening in this situation that we need to be more aware of and positively approach the person that has the bracelet. And what can happen is, in a matter of minutes, instead of taking that person to the emergency room, instead of taking that person to holding, instead of taking that person to Centerstone, we can identify that person in a matter of minutes and say, hey, Mary, we've got John. Can you come get him? Or can we bring him to you? This provided peace of mind for the lady that I actually went out and saw. And she said to me, Marcy, this could be huge for other people. And she's right. It should be huge for other people. So I've already talked about this part of it. We know that the caregiver actually registers, and then what happens is there can be instant access for first responders, and we also are providing that privacy and data security. Assisted living facilities most likely wouldn't use them. Independent living might, but assisted living wouldn't, because of the fact that they've got somebody going in constantly to check on the person. Yeah, I'm talking about the general public is really where I want to hit this, to push it out. All right, what's really important is that we have the ability also to give immediate access to the information out there. So let's say the city of Bradenton actually wanted to have a portal. They don't have to go through the sign-in process to be able to then get the information that is needed for the identification of our people. They could have their own specific portal. And that portal, any officer, any person in the first responding position, even in our dispatch, could have access to that to be able to help us to be able to identify people quickly. And that's really what it's about, is making sure that we are being quick about this. So I could go over how to actually sign in, but I think, it's more important to talk to you guys and to let you know what I'm working on. Really, it's important also, no more transporting. Let's make sure that we are not putting somebody in the back of a patrol car after we have pepper sprayed them. That has got to feel horrible, to pepper spray an older person that's living with dementia and sticking them in the back of a patrol car. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that's like. So the impact on dementia care. What I'm looking at doing is improving care. We need to. We absolutely need to. We need to improve the quality of care. in the people's lives also. And we also need to bring about a compassionate environment. Part of the immersive dementia experience that I do is use situations that I've dealt with in nursing homes, in assisted living, in hospitals, and that's why the people come out crying, because most likely they've seen it too. I'll give you an incident that happened about 3 months ago in an assisted living in memory care. I had a lady, she had her phone in her back pocket. She was caring for somebody. She had a phone in her back pocket and she had her ear pods in. And she was saying to a gentleman sitting in the chair that was actually a resident there, "Stand up." And the gentleman went to stand up and she goes, "No, not you. I'm not talking to you." And he sat back down. She goes, "What are you doing? Stand up." And he went to stand up again and she goes, "No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this man here." And he starts to look around and she says, "I said stand up." And he goes, "Are you talking to me?" And I said, "Excuse me, can I help?" And she's like, "No, I've got this." I said, "Well, I'm really sorry, but we really need to take the ear pods out. And we shouldn't be talking to somebody on the telephone while we're providing care." I had a regional manager standing right next to me at the time, and she goes, "Oh, kids these days." I said, "So who's your boss?" This is what we're dealing with. It's got to change. Alrighty, so what I'm hoping to do, and I'm not going to be able to read these because they're so far away, but that's okay. I really want to reduce some things that are happening in the community. I really think this can happen. I've seen after the trainings that I've given that we can reduce some of these situations. We can reduce the friction that happens. And possibly we can increase. One of the things that I would really love to increase is the optics on being progressive. We can be progressive. We've got the ability to be able to push this forward. I think me by myself, I can't do all of it, but let me tell you, if we get a room full of people together, we can do a whole lot more. So my future direction for innovation is about awareness, support, and outreach. I'm even looking at geofencing and geolocation. It can be done. It's easily done. It's just a matter of getting the funding. Support for families. Give a voice to those that sometimes struggle to be heard. I gave that woman that came to me and said, "I can't go shopping. I can't leave my home." I gave her a voice. I created something for her specifically so that she can continue to live life. So making sure that we are hearing everybody that has a part in this. And what would I love to do? Expansion, 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 right? My ultimate goal is to have a physical location in every county. I know, I've got big pipe dreams. But a physical location in every single county that people can come to and ask questions. You guys didn't know I existed, but now you do. Having a physical location gives people the idea that, you know what, there is help out there. Being able to have that physical location that people can come to, and we can do respite, we can do support, we can do education, we can do all of these different activities to be able to help people that are loving somebody through dementia. So in conclusion, transforming dementia is changing the landscape of dementia care. I've got the ideas. I've got them. I'm all but one person. But again, a room full of people is a whole lot better than just one. Empowering caregivers. That has got to be the hardest job out there. I've raised 7 children. I have 7 biological children, and I raised them, and they're all successful. 9 foster children. I've had some hard jobs before, but being a caregiver has got to be the hardest. And I commend you. I absolutely commend you, because I'm telling you, it takes a lot out of you to be a caregiver. And making sure that we have a community impact. I want to engage and enhance the quality of care out there through the different things that I have, and I have no problem collaborating. I think it's wonderful to collaborate. I think it's great to be able to link arms with other people and say, let's move this forward. This is my absolute favorite saying, and I truly believe it. It's by Ram Dass, and he says, we are all just walking each other home. And we are. Tomorrow's coming. Are we ready? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know firsthand with my father that did come down with, Alzheimer's. And I remember my mom, on a personal note, my mom making a decision to put him into like a memory care facility. And the kids were all mad at her.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, how could you do that? You can stay. And then I realized that, Mom's like, we'd see him every Sunday. We'd all have dinner together, maybe a couple times through the week, but we weren't on him 24/7. And he's kind of following her around. She's like, you can't imagine how many times he asked me where the forks are, like that many times. And it just, I know that I had little training, but I found some training to how to handle it, as a caregiver, because we would visit them all the time,
Right.
But I wish they'd be at home first. Thank you for what you're doing and your research and your compassion. On behalf of the Bradenton Kiwanis, this is a golden ruler to measure your future success.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you, Marcy. We'll get a picture with this guy right over here. Thank you. There we
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Oh, wait, I've got a couple things up there.
Oh, I grabbed his stuff too.
Let me peel those right off the
Got
top.
it?
I think you're good over there. Thank you all for being here today. Bradenton and Kiwanis, we're all about the kids. We know that. But we also have the elderly, our parents, grandparents. They need some help too. So I know within our community of not-for-profits that are out there, those are really important, the ones that do take care of the senior care, and the ones with Alzheimer's, so important. Please join us next week, Chief Tokager, I think it is, with Holmes Beach. He's the Holmes Beach Police Chief. He's going to be talking about how, Tom, am I right on that? Am I right pronunciation out in Holmes Beach? Tokager, okay. How Hurricane Helene affected our area and what's being done about it out there. So I look forward to that very much. Again, our meeting tomorrow for those on the board and those committee chairs will be over at Manatee Community Foundation. Go forward, do some great things this week. Thanks for being here. Meeting adjourned.